Racist hotel rejects Shaquille O'Neal and he pulled a unique. He went back the next day and he brought the joint. Pay attention to this so you can see how this played out, and I'm gonna take you on a couple of rides so that I could tell you how I had to buy a couple of establishments because I felt like I was disrespected when I went in there, and what I did when I went back, and what Shaq did when he went back. But until then, as the intro play, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe and the notification button and go to Unique Mecca Audio Prison Stories to see my prison stories, and Mecca Audio TV. Support me on these other channels. Membership is there. I'm gonna start showing mad videos there. That's gonna be like a Patreon. Things I can't get up on YouTube. So let's get it going. All right. Unique Mecca Audio, we in the house, man. Let's start this party up. Let's start it up. Now, Shaquille O'Neal felt like he was disrespected in the establishment, so what he did was he went back the next day and brought it. Sit back and check this joint out. This is how real players handle situations of racism when you got the bag.
Racist hotel rejects Big Shaq. The next day, he returns as the owner. On a cool autumn evening, the Royal Beacon Hotel's lobby gleamed with polished marble floors and soft lighting. Guests in tailored suits and designer dresses glided past, exchanging quiet greetings. Behind the front desk, Marissa, a young receptionist, prided herself on managing the hotel's elite ambiance. She believed she could spot the right sort of clientele from a distance. As the clock approached midnight, a tall, broad-shouldered black man stepped inside wearing a simple hoodie and jeans. His face was friendly but weary, as if he'd come from a long journey. He approached the front desk. Marissa's smile tightened, turning polite but guarded. She sized him up, noting his casual clothes. This wasn't how their usual guest dressed.
I guess she's used to a three-piece suit. So I guess if I walked in dressed like this, what do you think Marissa would do if Unique Mecca Audio walked in the establishment and tried to get a room a little before 12 at midnight dressed like this? All right, put it in the comments.
"Good evening," he said calmly, voice deep and warm. "I'd like a room for the night." He leaned in slightly, offering a credit card. He stood well over 6 feet tall with a distinctive presence, but Marissa focused on what she considered the wrong kind of look. Marissa glanced at the empty reservations list. There were rooms available, plenty in fact, but something about him made her uneasy. He didn't fit her idea of an upscale guest.
How do you think he was dressed that she felt that he didn't fit the idea of an upscale guest? Put that in the comments. Let's keep it moving.
Ignoring the logic, she forced a thin smile. "I'm sorry, we're fully booked," she lied. The man's brow furrowed. He looked around. The lobby was quiet. Vacant tables and chairs suggested low occupancy. "Are you certain?" he asked softly. "I'm happy to pay any rate." Marissa folded her arms. "I'm sorry, sir, there's nothing I can do. Perhaps you could try elsewhere." At that moment, a well-dressed couple entered. Marissa's demeanor changed instantly. A genuine smile, a warm greeting. Within minutes, she produced a room key for them with no hesitation.
Now, have you ever experienced this form of racism where you go in? Okay, let's ride. I'm going to take you on a ride. Yeah, I'm going to give you a prison story in between it, so make sure you go subscribe at Unique Mecca Audio Prison Story so that you can hear more of these prison stories, right? We in Allenwood Penitentiary. We got Big C from the Supreme Team, A.K. Harry Hunt. His wife came up to see him. When she came up to see him, you know, She came in, she's black, light skin, caramel complexion, so she's not jet black like me, ugly black as they call it here in America. Because the darker you are, the uglier they consider you here in America, which is a shame. Do y'all think that that statement I just made is right or wrong? Put it in the comments. Do you feel that your comrades, your family and friends, society look at you as a dark skinned person as ugly? And I'm not talking about Tay Diggs or Tyrese or Wesley Snipes, the ones that's on TV and, that got the bag. We're not talking about that. We're talking about just if you see a regular dark skinned person, black like me, walked up to you on the street and said, "Excuse me, what's your name? You're beautiful today." You know? And then if a light skinned person walked up to you and said that. But let me get back to my ride in Allenwood. So check, right? I gotta give a gunshot. Let's wake up. Let's wake up. We're gonna do a gunshot. Now, check. I'm in Allenwood. I'm gonna talk fast now. I'm gonna get in my little zone so we can speed this up and get back to Shaquille O'Neal, because of course we got a lot of rat bastards. And sit there and say, "Oh, let the tape play, let the tape play." No, but see, this is a unique ride. All right, so take this. And get off my channel, and I'm telling you again, don't even buy my book. You rat bastards. Don't even buy my book. I don't want no support from you. If you're gonna come here and listen, just sit back and don't touch nothing. That's another ride I could give you. I'm gonna give it to you now. And then I'm gonna get back to the joint about Big C and Karen. You understand? I had this girl I used to go pick up, right? Every time I get in the car, she knew what to do. That's what I loved about it. I get in the car and I'm driving, and I pick up 1, 2 in the morning, late night booty call. I'm riding, and I just turn the music all the way up. Whoop, bass booming. You can't hear nothing but the bass in your eardrums. So she's sitting there, and she don't touch nothing. But at first, she used to always try and talk while the music is playing, but the music is so loud I can't hear her. So I just drive with a straight face and I pay attention to the road. And she's talking, she's laughing, and she's carrying on. I'm stone faced riding. Only thing on my mind is just boning her back out when I get to my location. No room for rap, no time for rap, don't want to rap. This is just a late night booty call. Okay? So while we riding, see, and I'm like this. And that's how I'm riding. You know what I mean? So now, after a while, I get her in the car. And she realized that I wasn't talking. So after about 3, 4 these late night excursions, she get in the car, and now she'll turn the radio all the way up, and she'll sit back and act like she got an attitude, because she thought I had an attitude. When all I had was a fresh thought on my mind, execution on my mind, because I'm planning on punishing her tonight. That's it. That's where I want my thoughts at. I don't want to hear your stupid conversation. I don't want to hear about your girlfriends. I don't want to hear about your baby daddy. I don't want to hear about your daddy, your uncle. I don't want to hear none of that. I don't care about your dog. I just care about your cat right now. That's it. You know what I mean? So now she gets in the car, and that became my routine after maybe about a month. I get in the car, whoop, I don't even have to turn the radio up. She turns it all the way up, and we sit there and ride. And after a month, I asked her, "What be on your mind when we on the way to the hotel? Because you sit there like you got attitude." She said, "Nah, I just be thinking about how I'm going to tear your black ass up." So she felt right in the line. But let me get back to Shaq, then I'm going to get back to Big C with the visiting hall, how the racism played in. Because I want these rat bastards, getting too impatient because I know they're here. I can smell a rat. I could just smell
The
it.
tall man watched, disappointment flickering in his eyes. He realized this was no misunderstanding. This was bias, plain and simple. He nodded to himself, controlling a surge of anger. "Thank you," he said quietly, turning to leave. Outside, the crisp air stung his cheeks. He took a deep breath. He wasn't just any traveler turned away. He was Shaquille Big Shaq O'Neal, a legendary basketball figure whose name was known worldwide. He was also a successful entrepreneur who had quietly acquired properties and businesses. The Royal Beacon Hotel had been on his radar for months. Tonight's encounter sealed his decision. That night, Shaq made calls. He spoke to his financial advisor, his legal team. The hotel's parent company had been struggling, and Shaq had considered investing. Now he resolved to buy it outright. By morning, he would finalize the deal.
Now, before he finalized the deal, let me take you back on that ride with Big C. The ride was dealing with when you go someplace and they tell you no, but they tell someone from the other color yes. All right. So Big C girl came around. So she come visit me, the visiting hall, and she get there early from 8 o'clock. The bus came a little late because they stopped off at the little local joint so they could wash up before they come in. Because the bus pick you up in New York City, one of the five boroughs. They got a little van. They call it a bus. They pick you up at like 2, 3 in the morning because they got to drive maybe from the Bronx. So they'll pick you up all the way in Queens at 3 in the morning. Then they drive over to the Bronx by 4. Then they drive down on Harlem by 5. You know what I mean? Then they go up to Washington Heights by 6. And then they try and get on the highway by 7. So they getting on the highway, they driving, and right before they get there, they pull over at like a rest stop. All the females that's coming to visit their family members, they go in the bathroom, they powder their nose, put the deodorant on, they brush their teeth, because a lot of them was coming from the strip club late night. Late night they hanging out while they man in jail, but they so loyal they gonna go visit them anyway, and they tell they man they was home with their mama the night before while they was there watching big male strippers look like the fireman and the village people. Now, so they pull up to the joint, and by the time they get there, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. If you don't get in by 10 o'clock, then they tell you got to wait till after the 10 o'clock count. They don't clear till about 11:30. So that means your visit ain't going to start till 11:30, and then visit is over at 3 o'clock. So this is what, P. Diddy getting ready to have to go through if, God forbid, he's found guilty. And I don't wish no man found guilty and go to jail, especially one of ours. I'm just telling you where I stand. If you don't like it, gunshots. Okay? Now, so they sit there, and Karen goes up, and they had a little thing that you're supposed to put your hand on, and these little poles go between your fingers, and it tests for residue to see if you touched any form of drugs. That's a whole nother one I got to do. Go to my prison story channel. You need to make audio prison story, and you get more of these stories in detail. But I'm gonna try and keep this short to the point. She puts her hand in to check for drugs. Nothing came up. They told her hand was too small. The pins only went here, and her fingers need to come up there, but her fingers got to stay close to the pin. So she's like, so what do you want me to do? I said, no, well, you got to wait here till we get a lieutenant, so we could escort you in. So, somebody else came and they hands fit, they went in. Somebody else came, their hand didn't fit. Little white young lady came to see her white boyfriend, and, they escort her in, and her hand didn't fit the same as, C's girl didn't fit. So then now she sit there, she look, so she sit down, and the next thing you know, somebody else come in, they hand fit, then somebody else come in, they hand don't fit, and they escort him in. Now it's like 10 minutes to 10. So, his wife gets up and she said, look, you told me that I had to wait for a lieutenant, but those two young ladies that just came, and she even was respectable and said young ladies, those young ladies that just came, their hands didn't fit either, but, you escorted them in. And she said, no, you just sit down and wait for a lieutenant. I said, whoa, like, who you talking to like that? So now she's furious. So now, at the meantime, Big C back in the visiting hall, back in the unit waiting on his visit, and he thinking she late. So he ready to go cuss her out that she did something wrong. He don't know what's happening. So now, count clear, hour and a half later, he comes out at 1:30, visit is over at 3. He expected to be down there from 8:30. He didn't get down there till, 12:30, not 1:30. So now he's furious. So as soon as he go down there and he see his girl, he ready to cuss her out, and he see her, she got this mean mug on her face, and she's pissed. So he's thinking, what the hell you mad at? You know what I mean? I'm supposed to be mad. You late. You know what I mean? So he thinking that she gonna flip it on him and say that you took too long to come down here or whatever. Nah, that wasn't it. Soon as he sat down, she said, that woman right there disrespected me, because obviously when they came in and she tried to ask her about the incident, how they just walked her in so she could make a complaint. The young white girl said, man, I don't want to talk about that. I'm already in here. I'm waiting to see my husband. You could go about your business. So now, she girl from Queens, she ain't having it, if y'all know Queens chick. So when she talked to her like that, she wanted to hook off on her, but she sat down, C come out, she tells C, yo, That white girl right there disrespected me, and that police right there, he told disrespected me and wouldn't let me in. That's the reason why I'm late. You know what I mean? And he put his hands on me when I was coming in because he grabbed my wrist to show me that my hand don't come. So he said, he touched you? And she said, yeah, he was making sure that my hand didn't, didn't, and she didn't hear none of that. He just looked at it again and said, he touched you? Man, she got up, walked over there, said, that police right here? And the police standing there looking all cocky and, but they know C already. So he's sitting there looking all cocky. And this the visiting hall. Nothing never happens in the visiting hall. So he's sitting there and he said, this police right here? And she said, yeah. And C just hooked off and punched him in his face and started whooping him. Police from behind the desk jumped over the desk. They hit the deuces. About 20 more police come in. Big C had 20, yeah, he had like 22-inch arms and his waist was like a 30. You know what I mean? He was a straight pull-up master, a monkey on the bar. Now, so they fighting C. So while they fighting, the same time, right? What would you do if you was in that situation and that was your man and you came to visit in the visiting hall, they treated you like that, you got pissed, female talk to you crazy like that, and then now you tell your man and your man go over there and he start fighting the police and you got about 20 police trying to hold this big red gorilla down. You know what I mean? Because that's what he looked like out there, arms and legs everywhere, putting in work. So now, what would you do if you was put in that situation? You put it in the comment. You male if you went to go see your female friend if that happened, and you females if you go see your male friend, lover or brother, whoever, and their brother is fighting with the police behind something that happened with you trying to get in. Put it in the comments what you'll do, but I'm going to ride and tell you anyway. C's wife jumped over 3 tables and hooked off on this white girl, grabbed her by the hair and started wailing her in the face. She fighting 20 police, she fighting this white girl, and, about 3-4 police realized what was happening when the white girl started screaming hysterically, and they looked over. Now they ran over there to go fight C girl, but that loosened up the grip they had on them in the corner. So she just threw a haymaker, boom, knocked the police out, ran over, grabbed the police office girl, body slammed them. She body slammed the girl, and they out there fighting in the visiting hall. I know this sound crazy, but yo, this is Big C from the Supreme Team. This is how the Supreme Team carried it in prison, just so you understand. To me, C was the wildest person I ever met from New York City in the feds. My man told me about somebody else. I can't remember his name, but I'm going to tell you about another wild character from New York in a minute, right? But check. Right, let me see. So while they sitting there fighting, C gets locked up in a hole. C get banned from ever coming back to Lewisburg again because he was fighting too many police. And he was already in there for, unaliving, allegedly, some people. You know what I mean? Colombians and everything. But, it was all a part of the game. Casualties of war. But, so C was never allowed to come back because they scared of what might happen. So they sent him out to Lum Park. When I get out to Lum Park, C in the hole because he done got into it in Lum Park again. But we'll get into C another time because this was about Shaquille O'Neal and about how different people handle racism. C and his girl chose to handle racism with violence. Okay? Shaquille O'Neal chose to handle it the unique way. He just went back and brought the establishment. I know you rat bastards is saying, but C couldn't buy no bay in prison. We're not talking about C in the prison right now. So just sit back and don't say nothing and act like the chick I was taking to the hotel for the late night booty call and just don't touch nothing and zip it. Okay. So now let's ride back to Shaq.
As dawn broke, Shaq's team confirmed the purchase. He now owned the Royal Beacon Hotel. He spent the morning reviewing staff files and policies, sipping coffee in a quiet cafe. He thought about the night before, the rejection, the dismissive tone. He had endured prejudice before, but this time he held the power to make it right. Around midday, Shaq pulled up to the hotel once again. This time he wore a tailored suit. His confident stride and imposing height turned heads. Inside, staff bustled as usual, but tension flickered as they recognized him from last night, though many didn't know the full story. Marissa spotted him and froze. She remembered refusing him. She hadn't expected to see him again. He looked different, more commanding, his attire immaculate.
Because now he's wearing a three-piece suit instead of jeans and a hoodie. Rest in peace, Trayvon Martin.
Her heart thumped nervously as he approached the desk. She forced a smile. "Good afternoon, sir. How can I help you?" Shaq regarded her calmly and quiet strength in his gaze. "I'm here to introduce myself," he said, voice steady but kind. "My name is Shaquille O'Neal, and as of this morning, I'm the new owner of the Royal Beacon Hotel."
You know, and that's what Shaq said, right? But now, let me ride. I feel like riding. I go in this weed spot, right? I go in this weed spot in the Bronx, and it's booming. They get money, right? So I know the owner of the joint, but they got the little workers in there. So when I go in there, I said, "Yo, let me see what you got." So they threw me a bag, and you know, I just started rolling up in the joint because I'm waiting on the owner, right? Because I came asked if he's there. They said, "Nah." I said, "All right." I stepped aside. I said, "Let me see what you got." They threw me a bag. I rolled a bag, and a couple of customers came in. I'm sitting there, and I started smoking a joint in the establishment, and dude start knocking on the glass. Said, "Yo," I said, "What's up?" He said, "You owe me 20 for the bag." I said, "Yo, chill, son. I owe you nothing. I'm gonna see homie when he comes." And he's like, "Nah, you gotta pay for the bag." And he talking all greasy through the thing about $20, and I'm standing there waiting for his boss. And I even told him I'm waiting on his boss. He could look at the way and tell that the way I'm dressed that, I'm just a regular dude from the hood because at this time I'm not wearing no chains. I'm just wearing, a black wife beater, no chains, some sweatpants, and I was just working out. So I go up in the joint and he's banging on the window. "Yo, give me the money, give me the money, give me the money." He's talking all crazy, you know what I mean? I say, "Yeah, okay." So I give him the $20 and I go see my man, and I tell my man straight up, I said, "Yo, dude in your joint was real foul, sweating me about a bag when I told him I came to see you." You know what I mean? So dude was like, "Nah, nah, that's how he is." I said, "Nah, matter of fact, how much you making a day?" He said, "Making about 20,000 a day." I said, "I tell you what, I'm gonna give you 200,000 right now for the spot. Leave everything in it, the weed and everything. Give you 200,000 cash right now. You know." He said, "Bet." So I bought the joint. I went right back. I didn't wait till the next day. I went right back, and this time I bought this bad, pretty little filly with me, right? You know, little Puerto Rican chick, because we're in the Bronx. So I bought this bad little Puerto Rican chick with me, and she goes in, and he sees me, and he frowns his face up. So my man comes in behind me. He opened the door, and he said, "Yo, this my man Unique. He came to see you yesterday. He, you know, said you was real disrespectful." He said, "Nah, but I ain't know who he was. I gave him the bag." And he's still talking greasy to his boss about how I gave him the bag and he stood there. He ain't tell me he was gonna pay me later. He ain't do nothing like that. So my man looked at my man said, "Okay, well, we don't need to talk about that no more. You need to talk to the new owner." He said, "What do you mean the new owner?" And he said, "Nah, Unique just bought the joint." His face dropped, you know. And I had to add insult to injury, So what do you think I did? Put it in the comments. What do you think I did? I'm getting 3 more seconds. Tell me what you think I did. All right. So let me tell you what I did, Roz. I said, "You know what? You're fired." As soon as I said you're fired, he went to open his mouth to say something, and I cold, open-handed smacked the crap out of him. Because I had to add insult to injury. Because now I want to whoop him. You know what I mean? I don't want to just fire him. I just want to whoop him because he's still talking. We're telling you that your service is terminated and you still want to talk, and now you're in my establishment. This how I ran my establishment. If I felt somebody owed me $20 from the bag, I would have opened the door, came out, and demanded and took my money out of his pocket. Being that he didn't do that, he definitely can't work for my establishment because you should at least open the door, stepped out, and said something to me face to face instead of banging on the glass like a coward. Right or wrong, y'all put it in the comment. But anyway, so that's how I went back, and I just bought the Jordan 5. The clown had to smack him and drag him out my store. I mean, get up out of here. But that's just how it is. But this is how Shaq handled it when he went back the next day. See, I ride with everything. You see, I got all the pieces to the puzzle put together. I want to thank y'all for the Cash App. It's on the screen. Make sure you hit the icon and say it was created in 2020. because that's what built this beautiful system. And now I'm going to change it and let you see a little something different. And then we're going to let Shaq tell you how he handled the situation. All right, let's ride.
A hush fell over the lobby. Marissa's face went pale, eyes widening in shock. She stammered, You, the owner? The other staff and a few guests looked on, curious and confused. Shaq nodded. Yes, I've completed the acquisition of this hotel. Last night, I tried to check in, but you said there were no rooms, even though there were. He let that sink in, his tone ever rising, never turning harsh. I want to know why. Marissa's mind raced. She had no excuse that wouldn't reveal her bias. Her cheeks burned. I apologize, she managed weakly. I thought we were fully booked. Shaq didn't flinch. I watched you give a room to a couple right after me. Don't pretend you didn't. His words were calm but unyielding. Marissa's lips trembled. She knew lying would only dig her a deeper grave. The hotel manager, Joel, emerged from the back office. He heard rumors all morning about a sudden takeover, but this confrontation caught him off guard. Mr. O'Neal, he said, voice oily with attempted charm, I'm sure there's a misunderstanding. We didn't know it was you. Shaq turned his gaze to Joel. So if you knew who I was, you would have treated me differently? He
What do you think he said? Put it in the comments.
asked quietly. That's the problem right there. You judge people on appearances and perceived status, not on their worth as human beings. Joel swallowed, struggling for words. He'd run this hotel with a certain clientele in mind. Now he realized how precarious his position was. Shaq took a breath, addressing the entire lobby. I won't stand for discrimination in my hotel. Every guest deserves respect, no matter their color, clothing, or background. He met Marissa's eyes. Last night you refused me service. This morning I come as owner not to punish blindly, but to set things right. Marissa's knees felt weak. She expected instant dismissal. Instead, Shaq offered an unexpected path. I believe in second chances, he said. If you're willing to learn, to treat everyone fairly, you can stay. But if not, this isn't the place for you. Tears pricked Marissa's eyes. She managed a nod. I'm sorry, she whispered, voice cracking. I'll change. Shaq nodded, satisfied for now. He turned to Joel. As for the management, I'll be making changes. You'll undergo training, everyone will, on bias and customer relations. This hotel will be a symbol of inclusivity, not exclusion. Joel nodded vigorously, relieved to still have a job. The staff watched, some with admiration, others with shame. The guests who witnessed this felt a sense of justice in the air. That afternoon, Shaq convened a staff meeting in a conference room overlooking the city. He spoke of his vision, a hotel where every guest felt welcome, where service was genuine, not conditional on stereotypes. He outlined plans for training sessions, revised policies, and community outreach. My success in basketball taught me teamwork, humility, and fairness, he said. We'll apply those values here.
See, that's the difference, right? That's the difference. I didn't play basketball. I didn't have, the values and the humanity and all that. Because me, myself, like I said, I had to smack the crap out of them. And if it was a female, I would have just got one of my hood chicks to whoop her. You know what I mean? Just keeping it 100. You know what I mean? I would have had them just drag her out and just whoop her for disrespecting me. I mean, that's what my mentality was then. But see, Shaq is at a bigger place than I was at the time when I was dealing with these situations. Because all hell would have broke loose. Because I'm doing this just to embarrass you and degrade you. That's why I bought the spot. You know what I mean? That's why, because I don't like the way you acted. So to sit here now at my age, 60, keeping it 100, to sit here at 60, and at this time I was 21, 20, 18, matter of fact, at that time I was 19 to be exact. So now I'm sitting here and I'm listening to them out. They're going to give a training, they're going to do this and that. Back during our era of pushing that illegal poison that I've apologized to more than a million times and will continue to apologize for what I did to my community. But while I was pushing that poison, it's a whole different mentality. And that mentality calls for violence, for reaction to 90% of the things. And 100% of the time, for any disrespect, you must inflict violence hard and swift. So that's why we doing this over here at Unique Mecca Audio, so you could understand that we don't play these games over here. You know, we come over here and we try and talk to the youth and let them know how hard life is. Let them know how real life is. You understand? So let me get back to Shaq, man, because I might get a little too deep right now.
The employees listened intently. Some looked relieved. Those who'd been uncomfortable with the old biases were grateful for the change to align with a better standard. Others looked nervous, uncertain how to adapt. But Shaq's calm authority made it clear this was the new normal. Over the next weeks, changes took place swiftly. The lobby's subtle elitist branding softened, promoting a warm, inclusive atmosphere. Training sessions led by professionals in diversity and hospitality challenged staff to reflect on their attitudes.
See, that's what I'm saying, right? That's the point. You youngins don't go out there wanting to get involved in a life of crime, because all this handling it, let me move out the way. All this handling it in the boardroom and all this they're talking about with this fancy way of, dealing with disrespecting your establishment. When you on the street, you don't know when you might get a boss like Unique Make Audio that's gonna smack the crap out you for disrespecting one of the customers. And you know you're not going for that. And then now here you go, you got to either unalive Unique or he got to unalive you, because right now it's a whole different mentality out there. But that's how it is. And 9 times out of 10 in today's mentality, I would, instead of smacking him, I would just probably just have to unalive you, so I don't have to worry about you coming back with your little buddies. You know what I mean? I'm just not pushing violence, but just letting you know. You don't want to wind up getting into it with nobody little buddies. You don't want to wind up getting unalive by anyone. So that's why I say don't get involved in the street. That's the moral to my story. I know my stories are a little hard, but life is hard out there in that world that we trying to prevent the youth from going down. Let's get back to this. All right.
Marissa attended every session diligently, determined to atone for her misjudgment. She learned about unconscious bias, the importance of equality, and how to treat each guest with genuine warmth.
You see what I'm saying? But in my field, I feel that the person that I fired and smacked the crap out of and dragged and threw out the store, I just did him a favor, because now he knows how to work for the next Herb Gates. Now he know how to be respectable at the next Herb Gates. That's all that fancy training they did at the boardroom. We just handle it with a swift iron fist. Just letting you know that if I'm telling you, don't go out there if you faking. Because you don't know what type of boss you're going to run into, or what type of situations that call for certain types of responses and reactions to your actions that might lead to violence or possible unaliving. Now let's keep it moving.
Outside, word spread that Big Shaq owned the Royal Beacon Hotel, not as a cheap publicity stunt, but as a move to transform it. Journalists tried to interview him, but he kept it low key.
You see what I'm saying? They said he did all of this. You see all this little fancy announcing this and that. See, in my field when I was on the street, I didn't have to hold a press conference that I just took this store from this dude, or I just bought this store from this dude, or I just opened this store up. All I had to do to get the clientele was have good dogs. Understand what I'm saying? Just have the best. So I didn't have to do all this from from where I stand. When I tap back into my criminal lifestyle mentality, I call it kiss assing. By telling the public, I just brought it. It's gonna be different. They're gonna be respectful. No, I tell the neighborhood I smacked the crap out of him for disrespecting the little old lady in front of the store. All right, let's get back to this.
He wanted deeds, not headlines, to speak for him. New guests arrived, some curious, some longtime admirers of Big Shaq's basketball legacy. More importantly, travelers of all backgrounds started to feel comfortable booking a room. The staff greeted them with genuine smiles, no longer scanning their outfits or questioning their worth. The transformation was not just cosmetic, it was cultural. One late afternoon, Shaq stood in the lobby watching Marissa check in a family. The parents were casually dressed, the children excited and giggling. Marissa welcomed them graciously, no hint of hesitation. After they left for the elevator, Shaq approached her. She turned, her smile now free of the old tension. "Mr. O'Neal," she said warmly, "I just wanted to say thank you for giving me a second chance. I see things differently now." Shaq nodded, resting a large hand gently on the counter. "I knew you could learn," he replied. "That's what this place is about now. Learning, growing, treating people right."
See, but when I took over the establishment, when you're dealing with the underworld, you show what your establishment is like by the amount of violence that you would inflict when disrespect comes across your establishment. So I come home to a different day and time and a different, you know, place mentally where I could understand this thinking now. I could apply this thinking now. But you youngins out there, you don't know when you're going to meet someone that didn't do 26 years in jail, that know how to apply this type of thinking. So be careful when you go work for them little locals and they, mom and pop, personal entrepreneur stores, and then you disrespect them or the customers, and then now they might just smack the crap out of you. And then you're going to think they're wrong, but we know what you're going to do. You're going to run to the police and you're going to file a civil suit, because that's where the world has come. But they didn't have civil suits back in my days. All right, so you had to just make an example so they knew not to mess with your establishment.
Marissa's eyes shone with sincere gratitude. The painful memory of her old prejudice had become a lesson, making her a better person and employee. As the evening wore on, the manager Joel passed by Shaq, offering a respectful nod. He adapted too, working diligently to meet the new standards. Shaq appreciated his effort. "Joel," he said, stopping him, "the hotel's booked solid next month. Looks like business is booming. Good work ensuring everything runs smoothly." Joel smiled, relief and pride mingling. "Thank you, sir. It's thanks to your vision. The team's embraced it." Shaq sighed contentedly. The Royal Beacon Hotel was thriving, not by excluding people, but by welcoming everyone. Profits rose, but more importantly, so did the staff's morale and the guests' satisfaction. The old reputation of elitist snobbery faded, replaced by a welcoming atmosphere. A few nights later, as Shaq strolled through the lobby, he spotted an older black couple checking in. They wore plain clothes, weary from travel. He watched a newly hired receptionist greet them warmly and hand them room keys without hesitation. The couple seemed pleasantly surprised. Shaq smiled to himself. This right here justified his actions, a small victory in the broader fight for equality and respect. Before leaving the hotel that night, Shaq took a seat in the lounge, sipping mineral water. He recalled the first night he came in, how he was turned away. He'd felt a sting of disappointment then. Now that memory felt distant, overshadowed by what he'd built. A place where his legacy wasn't just about basketball or business, but about doing what's right. The next morning, a card arrived for Shaq at the front desk, handed in by a guest who chose to remain anonymous. It read, "Thank you for making this a place where I feel welcome. It means more than you know." Shaq held the card, heart warmed. He didn't need a headline or a press conference. This quiet acknowledgement was enough to assure him he'd made the correct decision. Walking through the lobby one last time before heading out for meetings, he greeted staff by name, inquiring about their day. Maria, a housekeeper, mentioned how guests complimented the friendly atmosphere. Tom, the bellhop, said he felt proud to work here now. These simple words affirmed the transformation. Shaq exited onto the street, morning light glinting off the doors. The Royal Beacon stood behind him, changed for the better. He had turned a personal slight into a catalyst for reform. He turned a racist rejection into a story of inclusion and growth. He understood that true power wasn't just about wealth or fame, but about using one's influence to uplift others and broaden horizons. As he appeared into the city's bustle, the Royal Beacon Hotel continued to glow. A testament that people can learn, environments can change, and justice, when served quietly and firmly, can create lasting impact.
All right, so that's where we at right now, right? That's where we at right now. So we just want you to understand that over here,
Passage
Unique
for
Mecca
him.
Audio, we don't play these games. We just keep it 100 and keep it moving. Now, if you like these videos, make sure you go to Unique Mecca Audio TV and subscribe. All right.
Cheers, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, get it back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in hall. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. Did not pay attention, would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca Audio.